And first up is the extraordinary developments related to the FBI text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Lisa Page, a top lawyer in the FBI, Peter Strzok at the time, a top counterintelligence official in the FBI, and they were messaging back and forth, you may recall, about President Trump and Hillary Clinton. And the problem with that is they were anti-Trump and pro-Hillary Clinton, it looks like. And on top of that, Strzok himself was the lead investigator at the FBI, it looks like, on the Clinton email matter. Again, pro-Hillary Clinton and anti-Donald Trump. And then once the Trump alleged collusion investigation began, he was the top lead guy there, or one of the top leaders, both in the Justice Department investigation of collusion, supposedly under Obama, and then the Mueller operation came in and took it over, and he went over and worked for Mueller until these text messages were discovered requiring his removal from the Mueller investigation back in August. An act that Mueller took without telling anyone, at least publicly, why he was taking the act. So all this is out there. And then it's announced in a letter to Congress, I think it was sent last Friday, typical Friday night news dump, that the text messages for several months between Strzok and Page were missing. They supposedly hadn't been collected. There was a glitch. Now, of course, I didn't believe it for a minute. We've been through this before with the IRS, with Hillary Clinton and the State Department. We know these messages are out there to be retrieved by law enforcement. With Hillary Clinton, obviously, her emails, they never told us about the emails. And then the emails they did tell us about, it turned out it was half of what she had taken with her when she left the State Department. She supposedly deleted the rest of them. Well, the FBI was able to recover many of the emails that she deleted or otherwise hid. With Lois Lerner and the IRS, we were told there were emails that were lost because there were no backup tapes. Turns out there were backup tapes. So don't you believe anything the government has to say when it comes to the missing government information. Just don't believe it. It's all recoverable, and usually in matters of political import or public policy import, they're usually just being hidden. And it's a convenience. Accidentally on purpose they lose the material, as I like to say. Well, in the case of Strzok and Page, not only this these text messages they were responsive to what Congress was looking for, but Judicial Watch had multiple Freedom of Information Act lawsuits to which these messages could have been responsive and were certainly almost definitely responsive. Now, we've been pushing the Justice Department and the FBI for these text messages as soon as we learned they existed, because A, they should have already been produced to us, but B, we were concerned that they weren't even being looked at. And the response from this Justice Department and this FBI was essentially to tell us to jump in a lake. That's right. They didn't want to turn them over to us, and they said, if you really want them, well, you have because we finally filed a separate FOIA request, well, you've got that other FOIA request, which they've ignored. But we sued about it, I think on Wednesday, when was it? Wednesday or Thursday? When did we sue, Matt? Wednesday or Thursday? Anyway, earlier this week. A few hours after we sued, they found the text messages. The Inspector General of the Justice Department, I guess, just flipped the switch and they magically appeared, which makes me think that the news that they were not around or had not been captured was bogus to begin with. And I don't think the Justice Department and the FBI were prepared for the blowback. So on top of that, the text messages that have been uncovered thus far and released to Congress, but not to Judicial Watch. You know, it's easy to release documents to Congress if you're an administration or the deep state, because you can withhold things with impunity. You just give them partial productions. There's no real accountability other than political pressure, because Congress rarely goes to court. And in fact, one of the text messages that have been uncovered suggests that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page knew that because there was FBI material that they acknowledged would be very controversial that they could withhold from Congress, but the problem was it would probably have to be disclosed under FOIA, which is what Judicial Watch specializes in. So they're keeping these text messages away from us on purpose because they know that we'll get more of them and they won't be able to hide them the way I think they're hiding them from Congress. That all being said, there's a lot of interesting material in what they did turn over to Congress and what Congress has released. And they show that Strzok, most recently, the most recent batch shows that Strzok and Page were concerned about the FBI going full bore on the Hillary Clinton email investigation because they were afraid of what Hillary Clinton might do if she won the presidency. And they were thinking, will she remember? So this was politics front and center in the Clinton email investigation. And then famously, there's talk of a secret society. It's been suggested it was a joke. We have every reason to believe it wasn't a joke. And by a secret society, this was part of the anti-Trump effort in the FBI, it looks like. I mean, the secret society may have been a joking way to describe the group of deep staters in the FBI who didn't like President Trump. And as you may recall from the prior text messages, Peter Strzok talked about having an insurance policy. I mean, were they working against actively the incoming president of the United States, the FBI, because they didn't like his politics? It's just incredible. So these text messages are pretty explosive.